This video is going to be about using Cortex XSOAR to monitor logs from your firewall, in this specific instance a Palo Alto Networks firewall, and react to it. Security is a 24/7 365 thing, and the problem is that the bad guys work to their own agenda, and of course the vast majority of times security teams work to theirs, which means that there's a gap in between where people can squeeze through and wreak havoc. So my theory on it, and the theory at Mode 44, is that visibility and reactivity is literally the answer to everything. The quicker you can stop something, or the quicker you are aware of it, the less damage is caused. So in this particular video, we're going to go through the steps of creating an email sender on Cortex, which is ridiculously easy, creating the log setup so that I can get Cortex to listen for the logs from my firewall, creating the firewall log rules and logging configuration so that we're not drowning in noise from informational logs, to creating the classifier, mapping our logs, our syslog, to the key pairs so that we've got a structured data that we can work with, then creating a layout that presents that data, and then ultimately creating the playbook that runs automatically as soon as the log comes through. So we'll get started with the email sender. So configuring the mail sender, we're going to go in, and the hostname is rather predictably port is 465. Credentials. The password is application specific password, so that is, in my particular case, like an API key. Sender address has to match that. We're going to use SSL and we're going to test it. Get success and then done, and that is literally it. This is the one that I've built for it. So the Cortex threat logs, we're going to send the threat logs to it, severity critical, high, and medium, all the way through the wildfire logs and the URL logs. Now today all we're going to concentrate on is the threat logs, and then after that we'll start categorizing the wildfire and URL logs. The main reason I want to go just into threat is because I don't want to start inundating Cortex with it, because I have a free license, so I've only got 166 commands per day, and then when you start running automatic playbooks against those commands, they disappear fairly quickly. Okay, so these are our settings basically. That is what it's going to be sent. It's going to be syslog to there, and that is that's the firewall. Okay, so we'll log out of that. So back here, going to add an instance again. Firewall logs, for that is what they are. Classification, we're not going to do the classification with a classifier here, because I don't want to. I'm going to do it further down here, specifically within this syslog box, just to show you how easy it is. I'm going to listen on all addresses. The port that we have set up is 5140. Auto format. So log content field, there's a filter for instant creation. So this is literally going to look in the logs in the content field for a regex match, and then that will create an instant as a result of that. So we're going to use threat. In capitals is case sensitive. The log facility is always going to be greater than 0. And that, believe it or not, is actually our entire configuration for that. Okay, right. So we've got our firewall log instance. Just to check, I did. Yep, fetches incident. If you put do not fetch, it's not going to create an instance as a result. Okay, so you have to. That makes it active. Okay, so the next thing we do is the mapping, the classification and the mapping. But we've done the classification there because we're going to pull anything. We're going to create an instance from any log that has threat in it. To then map that to make it useful, we need to go to the classification and mapping tab and change the mapping there. So we need to create a incident type, and then we need to map that incident type. So we classify it, we have an incident, and then that incident type has a certain mapping against it, and that's how it follows through, and that's how it starts to build. Okay. So again, we're going to go for the content because that is where everything is, and it's a complete string basically, so we need to transform it. Okay, so as you can see, it's comma separated. We're going to cut it on the commas, and the fields that we want to get from that then are a comma separated value. So we know that that is 6, so we want 7, 8 and 9. Okay, 7, 8 and 9. Okay, so we can test that. Right, that isn't particularly easy to read though, but that's okay. So we can come back to here and we can replace the commas in between with a space, and that is you clicking down the space bar. Okay, we're going to test that. Okay, so our existing sample. So, and now we have something that's a bit more readable. And actually, I've picked up the wrong ones there, haven't I? So I need. So if that was 7, 8, and 9. So 9 is that one. So I actually need 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so done testing. Go back to there. Pick that back up. So 8, 9, 10. Okay, test that. Test it against our sample. Perfect. Okay, so now I have the IPs. What we can do later on is, in another video, is we can look at then how to, within the playbook, to work out which one is external, which one is internal using the ranges, so that actually gives us our specific output. Okay, right. So we know that's it. So we've got those now. So what else do we think we need from here? How about the host name? Okay, so host name, cdfg, host name. So we need the name. Okay. So data path. So this name, this is what's going to be shown as the incident name. And at the minute, it's a bit blah 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 blah. Okay. So now, for this one, rather than going through content, we're going to pick up the host name here. So that's where it's from. Okay. And that is under keys, host name, and we don't need to do anything to it. And if we test that, there. Okay. What else should we go for? So severity would be good. Okay. Get keys severity. Again, we can test that. Okay, done testing. Okay. Source username. Now this is interesting. Okay, so let me just have a quick look on here. Right. Okay, so source username. This is actually coming directly from a test box, so it's a machine. So it's not really that pertinent in this particular case. Let's see what we got. Source brand. We know it's come from syslog, so it'll show that anyway. Protocol maybe, or threat type. So incident type. See if we've got incident type. Event type. We'll go for event type. That one. That's the closest one. So now, the event type. Obviously, we've gone on threat, but it would be good to know which type of threat we're looking at. Okay. So again, it's content transformer. We're going to cut again at the delimiter. And I didn't check actually, but we can see it just about there. So if that's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. 4. And then test that just to make sure. Vulnerability. And just for my sake, we're going to change it to uppercase. Just so it has a bit more impact. Okay. So we have this vulnerability, it's an event type vulnerability. The details of it, which are the details of it. Which, I mean, you could actually clean that up a bit. Destination IP that it was going to, the source IP, the severity. Yeah, okay, so I'm happy with that. So I'm now going to save that version. So initial version. Just a quick note there is when you save. So if we go to that just now, so file threat mapper. Okay, so if you save version, then that literally gives you version information. It's very intuitive, and you can go back to other versions. If you just simply click the save icon, it overwrites all the versions. So it overwrites, so there's no way of going back. Okay, so now we have our mapper. So now we can map our incidents. Sorry, we can map our information into a more intuitive version for the analyst, so he can look at it and he's not searching through certain things. Okay. Okay, so with that done, go to advanced, incident types, new incident type. I'm going to give it a name. And a colour, your choice. And when we come back to this afterwards, we're going to select our layout that we've created, which means it will automatically flow to that layout. The default playbook to run, which at the minute will be literally the default playbook. So you have to be careful, because if you tick this next box, which we're going to do, to run the playbook automatically, it means you will run the default playbook for just any incident, and essentially if you are on the free version as me, you will end up using up all your daily commands very, very quickly. So run playbook, and this is where, so this gives us our SLA as well for the incident. So when the incident is reported to the analyst, you have the SLA. A 1 week SLA on a threat would be terrible. I would imagine that 1 day, no hours, would be perfectly fine. Okay, so now we have our firewall threat incident. That's all good, and we can now go on and create our playbook and our layout for that. So this is my testing desktop. for malware, things like that, so on and so forth. So what we're going to do is, this is going through my PA. It will hit that login rule, and we will see, I found an amazing website for testing things like this, which is really reliable. I'll leave the link to it underneath, although, I mean, it's ycar.org, can't really go wrong. Okay, so run the tests, and then we can simulate all these. So let's go for the iCar test virus. I'm set to reset both, by the way. That one, and then we'll just go, for the sake of argument, we'll go for that one. Okay, right, so now because it's log on session end, we need to come out of it, which we have done. The session will have ended, and shortly we'll be able to go to Cortex, because it checks every minute when the logs are forwarded from the PA. We should be able to see the instant. It should run the playbook, and we should see 3 emails come to me with the information that we set up. So coming back to the instance page, there's been an issue with the email because the email provider has stopped me sending emails because of suspicious activity, basically doing a lot of testing. So we'll go into, we can see here now we've got instance with the name, what type it is, severity, that it's active, which means it needs to be worked on, and if we go into it, we can see now that we've got the information that we expect to have. So, and there's the thing there, there's the go to the war room, we have an issue there, we're sending it can't. Okay, so for each incident you get a war room created that is specific to that incident. We've got indicators there, that's the external address, which is suspicious, which is fair enough. Hi, the owner, we can change the owner to me. Yep. And the source, can't do anything with. And then that's telling me that there's an issue with the email, so we need to then, so if we go to, just to show, so if we go to here, you can see that the first one is errored out on. Okay, so coming back here, if we click on that and say email provider issue and mark as completed, this will now move on to assigning to the user. So it's assigned it to administrator because that's what is in here. Okay, and then we're on to investigate the accident. Let's say it's a test incident and no further action needed. Mark as completed. The verdict is benign. Mark as completed. And there, done all my tasks. So I can now close the incident as a test incident. Closed, all is well, and as you can see it's deprecated the commands. So if we go back now to the instance page, see that we've got rid of those 2 instances. Now, I mean, if you get, so you can link them from here as well. So if we think that this is, which it is, so we say that one, mark it as a duplicate of 994, validate it, close others as a duplicate. So now we've got this one here as a duplicate of that one, so it's automatically closed that one. And that is pretty much it. That's it all the way through. Now I'm going to try and work out my email issue, and then I'll be able to demonstrate in a later video the email customization that you can do.